And here's Jay, and welcome back. And I hope you were with us the last hour, actually, last half hour. We had Tom Hegna, which had a really great bunch of advice for us. But this is the Educated Retirement here on KMET. And it's kind of come to my attention that, uh, I give my NMLS and DRE number on the first show, the first hour. So I think I better start doing it on the second hour also, just for compliance sake. Not that I'm doing anything wrong, but I want to make sure I'm doing everything right. So my NMLS number is 384-565, and my Department of Real Estate number is 792-630. And with that, I think we're going to go to, let me look up and see if I can see the International Space Station. Because, oh, there she is. As promised, I did promise you that NASA Nelly would be back with one more story to keep us up to date on what's so important, UFOs. So take it away, NASA Nelly.
On May 11th, 1950, on a farm outside Sheridan, Oregon, about 40 miles from Portland, Paul and Evelyn Trent had no idea what was about to happen, something that would change their lives forever. They managed their farm in the years just after World War II. They were just plain folks, good neighbors, solid citizens, not at all the sort of people you would expect of making up a UFO story. They kept chickens, rabbits, and other animals that needed to be fed. It was a nice overcast late spring evening about 7:30 p.m. The animals showed no sign of any disturbance. Everything seemed ordinary and typical, except for an object out of this world hovering in the sky. Evelyn started yelling for her husband as she was feeding the rabbits when she saw it. A huge disc-shaped object hovering in the sky, no wings, with a bronze metallic color, something she had never seen before. Paul started out to take a look at it and went back for his camera. The UFO was still there, hovering, the classic saucer style, completely silent, and was very bright. Paul couldn't believe he was able to shoot a picture. He was nervous as he hurried to advance the film and clicked off a second exposure as the craft picked up speed and disappeared over the horizon. They thought it had been some sort of government experiment, so they didn't tell anyone about it at first. Eventually, they had the film developed, and when Paul showed the photos to a friend, he was talked into telling the local newspaper about it. And so within a few days...
Excuse me, NASA, are these the real pictures from that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Real live pictures.
Yeah. McMinnville UFO photographs.
Right.
He was talked into telling the local newspaper about it, and so within a few days on the front page of a local paper, both of his photographs appeared for all to see. The news spread nationwide, as it actually was to be the first example of a flying saucer in action captured on film. They were asked to appear on a live TV show called We the People, so off they flew to New York City to appear on the show. Life magazine ran a story, and radio host Frank Edwards was interested in the sighting and wanted to talk about it. They felt quite the celebrities. The media wanted to borrow the negatives, and soon they got lost and resurfaced after decades. Later, Dr. Edward Condon, funded by the U.S. Air Force, was in charge of studying the subject of UFOs, resulting in all kinds of conclusions as he published the Condon Report, the scientific study of unidentified flying objects. What makes this interesting is that he admitted that his report was unable to falsify the Trent photographs or finding damaging inconsistencies in their story that they told over and over in interviews. He said this is one of the few UFO reports in which all factors investigated, geometric and physical, appear to be consistent with the assertion that an extraordinary flying object, metallic disc-shaped, flew within a sight of two witnesses. The Trents passed away in the late 1990s. In 1999, the city launched an annual UFO festival to honor the famous Trent sighting and has evolved into a celebration of all things extraterrestrial. It includes glow-in-the-dark light party, alien abduction dash, 5K race, and an annual parade where hundreds march through downtown McMinnville in out-of-this-world themed costumes. Speakers usually include authors, filmmakers, investigators to crop circle experts, Bigfoot hunters, and alien implant removal specialists, as well as physicists, psychic mediums, and Alexandra Rojas, Director of Operations for UFO News for Open Minds UFO Productions.
All right, I'm just going through some funnier, non-serious pictures here. But I always love these two. And I don't, I'm sure a lot of people that went to these conventions really believed in it, but I think those that were putting it on were there for money. Why not? But been to Big Rock and the Integratron and things like that. And I love that picture. That's why I show it so many times. And of course, back to Douglas Adams and to Mr. Tesla. All right. Well, thank you so much, NASA. Nellie, let's listen for those retro rockets until next week. All right, there she goes. So let's go back to our nostalgia stuff, memories. Although this guy ain't that old. In fact, I was kind of surprised that he's actually 35 years old, and that's Robert Pattinson, who was born May 13th, 1986. Robert Douglas Thomas Pattinson is an English actor known for both big budget and independent films. Robert was born in London. His mother was a scout at a modeling agency, and his father was a vintage car dealer. I wonder if he's got, anyway, no. He started learning the guitar and piano at the age of 4, and he was expelled from school at 12 for shoplifting adult magazines, good for him, at a post office shop and selling them to his male classmates. Now, there is ingenuity. Isn't that the name of the helicopter or something on Mars? Ingenuity?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, he's ahead of his time. As a teenager, he worked as a photo model for British fashion magazines. I guess his mother probably had something to do with that. And had an interest in cinema with his favorite actors, Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando. Good taste the man has. He later performed acoustic guitar gigs at night in pubs, where he also sang. He joined an amateur acting club at an early age, worked backstage, and auditioned for plays. He began his stage and film career after that, and for his performance in Harry Potter and The Goblet of Fire, he was named the British Star of Tomorrow, which is now today, and hailed as the next Jude Law. So Robert has starred in 44 films at his young age and has won the Fangoria Chainsaw Award for Best Actor in The Lighthouse, won 10 MTV Movie Awards for the Twilight films, and has been nominated for many awards, including the Academy of Sciences, Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films, Saturn Award, and things like that. And, I saw him in Harry Potter and some of this other stuff. And, of course, the Twilight movies, I saw all of them, but they're not at the top of my list. And I didn't think he was going to be that much, but, boy, he's turned out to be something really great. I mean, really a great actor. And here's a short list of Robert Pattinson films. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, 2005, directed by Mike Newell, and starred the Harry Potter cast. I don't think I need to show you too much. Well, what do you got here?
Pictures.
Well, we'll throw in some pictures. There he is as a young tyke in a school uniform, no doubt. And I looked at this before, and I don't know. He's in there, I guess, somewhere.
It's right in the middle.
I know, but he doesn't look as much as he looks. That looks like him. Okay? Yeah. And this definitely looks like him. Probably a little bit younger, but time goes on. Time marches on. And what do we got here? There's another, all kinds of makeup and stuff. What's that?
Who's a werewolf vampire? Or
No, he was the werewolf, I guess,
Yeah.
in Twilight Saga. Okay. And we'll get to some more. Anyway, Twilight, 2008, directed by Catherine Hardwicke, starred Kristen Stewart, and there were 5 Twilight movies. I guess I didn't see all of them. I saw 3 out of the 5, I guess. The Lighthouse was actually 2019, directed by Robert Eggers, who is a really top-notch horror film type person. And this was as much a horror film as it was just a character piece about the type of people that are out there. And, you know, I used to think it was a great romantic thing to be a lighthouse keeper, but you know what? After seeing this film, no way, keep me away. And it was nominated, the movie was up for 1 Oscar for Best Cinematography. A review of this film state, waves crash, birds scream, and rain pounds. The Lighthouse wants to drive you a little mad. It's not just a film about 2 people on the edge of sanity. It uses sound design and filmmaking tools to push you there too. Here is what he looked like. A couple of pictures there, and you know, just great performance by both him and William Dafoe. And if you haven't seen it, you should get it. You should look at it. It's on streaming stuff. And
That's the same picture, but more.
Same picture, but the kind of yeah. This is a drawing, unless they just went over the photograph. But that's a little more in the mood of the situation. It's pretty bleak, and you kind of feel like you're going to go mad along with the people there. Tenet 2020 didn't star Christopher Nolan. It was directed by Christopher Nolan and starred John David Washington, who is the son of Denzel Washington. And the film was nominated for 2 Oscars and won 1 Best for Special Effects. I was really kind of blown away by Pattinson because he was so different in there that I hardly recognized him except for the face. And currently that's not him there. No. Currently, The Batman 2022 is directed by Matt Reeves and stars Zoe Kravitz, John Turturro, who plays the crime boss, Carmen Falcon, and of course I love John Turturro, and Andy Serkis, who we've talked about at great length last week, and who plays Alfred Pennyworth. In reviews, it is said that this version is more like a gritty 70s crime drama than a soaring and transporting blockbuster. Robert whispering in the beginning, they thinking I am hiding in the shadows, but I am the shadows. Oh, I like that. Anyway, he is, I think, a great actor, one of the best today. So there. Who else has a birthday and is actually 57 years old? He's just a tyke. Stephen Colbert. And he joined us on May the 13th. I wonder if that was Friday the 13th. I'm not sure. But he's 57 years old. And Stephen Tyrone Colbert is an American comedian, writer, producer, political commentator, and TV host. And I actually remember seeing him in some commercials before he was even on The Daily Show. He's well known for hosting Comedy Central's program, The Colbert Report. And of course, he was part of The Daily Show before that. But he was on The Colbert Report was 2005 to 2014. That's a pretty good long show. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is now, began in 2015 and really took off, very successful. And Stephen was born in Washington, D.C., the youngest of 11 children. No wonder he had to have a sense of humor. His mother was a homemaker, and his father was an immunologist and medical school dean at Yale University. Huh. He was raised in South Carolina. When Stephen was 10, his father and two of his brothers died in a plane crash while it was attempting to land in Charlotte, North Carolina. I did watch some air disasters on the Smithsonian Channel this morning. Always try to, if you're in a bad mood about something, just turn on air disasters and watch, 100 people get blown up at one time. I'm not sure that's healthy, but sometimes it might help. His mother and the family moved to downtown Charleston and ran a carriage house as a bed and breakfast. Colbert found the transition difficult and did not make friends easily. He developed a love of science fiction, good for him, and the writings of J.R.R. Tolkien. In school, he participated in several school plays and contributed to the school newspaper. Here's to you, Stephen. He graduated from Northwestern School of Communication as he studied to become a dramatic actor. He had an interest in comedy and began performing improvisation, and Colbert got one of his first job answering phones and selling souvenirs at Chicago's Second City box office, which I've been to once, but that was, 20 years ago. Anyway, great place. He signed up for improvisation classes and began to tour with the company Second City and performed on stage. I wouldn't even remember whether he was part of that group when we were there. That's what happens when you get old. Colbert joined the cast of Comedy Central's The Daily Show, and once Jon Stewart took over hosting in 1999, as well as serving as a writer and co-executive producer, the series gradually began to take on a more political tone. Colbert developed a correspondent character for his appearances and later went on to host his own show, The Colbert Report, from, like we said before, 2005 to 2014. He succeeded David Letterman as the host of The Late Show. His first guest on that first show was George Clooney. What do I have here? I have some pictures. Yeah, you can kind of see him in there. I think, yeah. He's in there. A little bit more fuzz than we are used to seeing him right now. Let me trade you with... This is more of the comedy look that he's got. And then I've got one more, which I had a little trouble with the printer, which is working now. But enough of it is there. That's pretty current, ain't it? And that's all you need to see. Whatever the rest of it was ain't there, but that's okay. But there he is. So he was nominated, Colbert was, for 43 Primetime Emmy Awards and won 10 of them. He has won 2 Grammy Awards and one one-time People's Choice Award, to name just a few. So there is a real success story, and somebody that's worth it. I wonder I don't know whether they ever asked Jon Stewart to be a host on the night show. I guess he wasn't interested, even if they did, because he was not soon after that. He left.
He did the Daily Show for many years.
Yeah, he did the Daily Show for many years, and of course he's still active now. That is Jon Stewart, with making films, producing, writing, directing, things like that. So who else we got here? We got Harvey Keitel, who was born May 13th. Yep. Also, I don't know whether that was Friday the 13th, 1939, which means he's even older than I am. And this is definitely not how he looks right now, but that is a very recognizable picture of the man. What do you think? I think so. And there's Martin Scorsese. There's a whole bunch of people there.
De Niro and
Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. Anyway, There you go. Group photo, just like we used to take in school. Group photos. What else we got here?
Stallone
The director.
And,
Oh, with
Keitel.
Stallone and a mustached
De Niro?
De Niro.
Yeah.
And Stallone used to hang out, of course, at the Palm restaurant when it was on Santa Monica Boulevard, at the end of the bar, eating New York steaks and then playing poker in the kind of in the back. There was an area that went upstairs a little bit. And anyway, there you go.
De Niro also.
And here he is with his buddy De Niro. Is that all the pictures we got? No, we got one more. Yeah, we had to use a lot of black on that one. There we go. And here's a more recent, I don't know how recent. There he be. So that's what he looks like, well, more lately anyway. So let's see, does he have the same kind of glasses I do? Let me see, do they go down? Yeah, they go down in the middle. Yeah, I don't even know what I look like, but who cares? So Harvey Keitel is 82 years old, and he's an American actor known for his portrayal of tough guy characters. He first rose to prominence during the New Hollywood movement. This movement is also referred to as American New Wave or Hollywood Renaissance. And it was from the mid-1960s to early 1980s and was made up of a new generation of young filmmakers and actors. It included over 150 actors, over 75 directors, and over 100 other writers and musicians, which includes Woody Allen, although he's not Hollywood, but you know, Jeff Bridges, Mel Brooks, who we talked about last week to some extent, John Cassavetes, Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford, Jack Nicholson, Terrence Malick, who we don't talk about enough, George A. Romero, and Martin Scorsese, Ridley Scott, Steven Spielberg, and music like Tangerine Dream, Lalo Schifrin, and Tom Waits, just to mention a few. Love Tom Waits stuff. And Harvey, that's it. Harvey was born in New York City. His parents owned and ran a luncheonette, Getting Hungry. While his father also worked as a hat maker, he grew up in the Brighton Beach neighborhood of Brooklyn, which is pretty close to Coney Island, I think. He enlisted in the Marines at 16. After his return, he worked as a court stenographer for several years before beginning his acting career. And Harvey studied under Lee Strasberg and landed roles in some off-Broadway productions, auditioned for Martin Scorsese, and got a starring role in Martin's first feature film, Who's That Knocking at My Door, in 1967. I gotta admit, I don't know that movie, but I guess we could look it up. Mm-hmm. And a whole bunch of other films followed. He drifted into obscurity through most of the 1980s, continued to do work mostly as the stereotypical role of a thug. So Harvey Keitel has starred in over 95 films. He was nominated for 1 Oscar, Best Supporting Actor, and won an Australian Film Institute Award, Berlin National Film Festival Award, Boston Film Festival Award, and Film Independent Spirit Award, amongst a bunch of others. And here is a short list of those films after I get some water. If you'll excuse me a moment, here's to you. Taxi Driver, and boy, we know that one. And great music, too, by the guy that did all that. Well, we don't have anything here, but I've got the soundtrack and the movie 100 times over, but don't have it right here. Taxi Driver, 1976, Martin Scorsese, nominated for 4 Oscars. The Duelist, 1977, was directed by Ridley Scott. Love that movie, The Duelist, and used to watch it so many times. It's overdue for another watch. And just to show you, let's see, There he is, right there. In that. That was a Ridley Scott, the first Ridley Scott one I remember. Last Temptation of Christ was 1988, directed by Martin Scorsese, and received one Oscar nomination for Best Director.
Isn't that Willem Dafoe?
That's William Dafoe again on the cover, who we just spoke of. William Dafoe, Harvey Keitel, Barbara Hershey, Harry Dean Stanton, and David Bowie was in there. And yeah, there. The Two Jakes, 1990, was directed by Jack Nicholson, who tried to do a sequel kind of to Chinatown. And I think that is the only directing job that he ever tried his hand at. I'm not completely sure. So if you know better, call in. Reservoir Dogs, 1991, was Quentin Tarantino. And widescreen edition, yeah, that's another Laserdisc. And there he is. There's a picture right there. Now all they have to fear is each other. Okay. Bad Lieutenant, 1992, was directed by Abel Ferrara, won the International Fantasy Film Award for Best Actor. And there's a picture of him again there. Gambler 3, Grambler, Thief, Junkie, Killer, and Cop. There he is. Okay. Pulp Fiction, who we all have seen a few times. Again, directed by Quentin Tarantino, nominated for 7 Academy Awards and won 1. Best Picture, I thought. Could be wrong. I know it was Best Picture at the Cannes Film Festival. Anyway, there we go. Iconic picture. Yeah, this is the soundtrack, but no, it didn't cost 10 cents. Smoke, 1995, which I do remember, there we go, was directed by Wayne Wang. There you go. Hurt and Keitel deliver 2 of the best performances of the year, it says. William Hurt and Harvey Keitel. 2 thumbs up. Grand Budapest Hotel, 2014, directed by Wes Anderson, which is just amazing film, and I think you've probably seen it. If not, go watch it right now, or as soon as the show is over. I mean, that is so, and you know, he's got a new one, the Paris Dispatch or something, which we have not seen yet. No. But I'm sure looking forward to seeing it. What a great movie that is. What great wit and imagination. Anyway, Grand Budapest Hotel was nominated for 9 Oscars and won 4 of them. The Irishman, 2019, was directed by Martin Scorsese, nominated for 10 Academy Awards, including Best Director. And, of course, we saw that on Netflix, I believe it was. And who else has a birthday today? Daphne du Maurier. I've always pronounced it Maurier. And she bounced into this world on the 13th in 1907 and left us in 1989. So Daphne was an English novelist and playwright. Her short stories and novels have been described as moody and resonant with overtones of the paranormal, stuff. Her novels rarely had a happy ending and often had sinister overtones. She did not want to put her readers' minds at rest. She wanted her riddles to persist and wanted the novels to continue to haunt us beyond their endings. She spent much of her life in Cornwall. As her fame increased, she became more reclusive and rarely mixed in society or gave interviews. And she was born in London. Her mother was an actress, and her father was a prominent actor-manager. As a young child, she met many prominent theater actors and was completely fascinated by Tallulah Bankhead. The family residence during her childhood was a Cornish historic mansion called Mendabilly. Menabilly. I put a D in there, I don't know why. Menabilly, Menabilly, which inspired the fictional Manderley in the novel Rebecca. Her family connections helped her establish her literary career and published some of her early work in her uncle's Bystander magazine. The name of the magazine was Bystander, which was a British weekly magazine featuring reviews, cartoons, and short stories. And Rebecca, that she wrote in 1938, was that when she wrote it, or was that the movie? It must be when she wrote it. Was one of her most successful works. It was an immediate hit, and through 1965, selling nearly 3 million copies. It, of course, was adapted for film by director Alfred Hitchcock, Rebecca in 1940, so that answers my question. I should listen to myself more often. It starred Laurence Olivier and Joan Fontaine. And who was it we talked last week, auditioned for? Oh, and what's her name? Anne Baxter.
Yeah.
Anyway,
she was too young.
Other film adapted from Du Maurier's novels, The Birds, 1963, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, starred Rod Taylor and Tippi Hedren. Excuse me, dried up old man here. Here's a picture of her at one point in her life. And here she is. I think that's the one that's her, yeah. And, okay. And here's one a bit later in life. Always looking happy in spite of her stories. Although Rebecca had a fairly happy ending, although it's pretty weird. And quite a surprise ending, too. Great film. This one won Academy Award as, I guess it was the best picture of that year. Selznick and Hitchcock together arguing all the way through, but turned out to be really a masterpiece. Jamaica Inn, 1939, and that was a film directed by Alfred Hitchcock. I think we already mentioned The Birds, and that movie is not exactly for the birds, but, just to remind us. I never heard of Jamaica Inn. You?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, it leaves me out. And that starred Charles Laughton and Maureen O'Hara. Don't Look Now. Oh, we've got it. 1973, directed by Nicholas Roeg. Starred Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie. Now that, to me, this is a great film. And it didn't do quite so well as a horror film. I believe it came out the same time as The Exorcist, and which one got all the notoriety. But Don't Look Now is really fascinating and a bit scary, too, and great acting by everybody in it. We have some honorable mentions that we've talked about before, but we'll talk about again. This is coming up. Mm-hmm. We're not there yet. We're with Honda.
Oh.
Huh. Ishiro Honda, May the 7th. So this is one we were going to get to last week and didn't, but, he's so important, Mr. Godzilla, that we had to bring it up again. And there he is. Somehow I think we showed that picture last week, but we didn't go through the rest of it. He was a film director, screenwriter, best known for his action monster movies and his Godzilla franchise. Honda directed over 30 feature films and is considered the father of Godzilla. And who is the mother of Godzilla?
I don't know, but that's a nice copy. That's the Japanese.
Wow, yeah, sorry while I look again. Yeah, all right. This is in Japanese. They call it a masterpiece. And yeah, I'll go along with that. We got a bunch of soundtracks too. And of course, here is a package, the Ultimate Collection. Well, this was Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla's Revenge, Terror of Mega Godzilla, and Rodan, who Honda also. It's got like a 3D cover, which I don't know if you can see. George Lucas was born on the 14th. So that's tomorrow. We're back up to date now. And he is 77 years old. And there he is. What do you think? I think he's a lot younger right there. And here he is with anybody else. Oh, no, don't.
Coppola?
Oh, Coppola, we think, standing up. And there he is. And what is that picture he's got there?
I don't know. I was looking at that.
THX-ish? I don't know. Anyway, there we go. So, Mr. Lucas is an American film director, producer, and screenwriter. Produced over 57 films and directed 6 of them. He's been nominated for 4 Oscars, and he was honored with the Irving G. Thalberg Memorial Award in 1992. And here's a short list of his films. THX 1138 was 1971, written and directed by him. And there is, let's see, does that look the same? Yeah, okay, well, we got THX 1131, and was it in American Graffiti, the license plate on, I think it was the car of the Fonz. The license plate was 1138, THX 138, I think. Anyway, 1971, like I said. American Graffiti, which we got copies of but couldn't find right away. 1973, written and directed by our man, and of course, Star Wars. Boy, look how worn out this is. This is like the first copy we ever had of Star Wars on a laser disc. And, wow. Mark Hamill is in something else now. Anyway, 1977, wrote, produced, and directed The Empire Strikes Back, which is, to me, the best of all of the Star Wars films in the franchise. This being the best. The second best was the original one, and then it goes from there to me. Anyway, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And I still have Jack Nicholson's picture on here because Jack turned this role down. And of course, the man they really wanted for it is now doing AAG commercials for reverse mortgages, which is fine. The more people that talk about it, the better it is for all of us. And, of course, did you know there's a 5th Raiders of the Lost Ark in the franchise? There's a 5th one coming out, still with Harrison Ford, and be the first one not directed by Steven Spielberg. But he's still producing it, things like that. Now, who else was born tomorrow? 69 years old, which makes him just a tyke. In 1952, David Bryan. And David Bryan is a Scottish-American singer, songwriter, filmmaker, and lead singer for the Talking Heads. And before high school, Bryan already knew how to play the guitar, accordion, violin, and harmonica. And he was rejected from his middle school's choir because he was too off-key. Sounds good to me. He co-founded the Talking Heads in 1975 and released 8 studio albums and went to solo in 1989. Here is the Crooked Head. That's pretty much the only picture I have right now, but that's okay. And David's work was used exclusively on soundtracks such as The Last Emperor, which won an Academy Award for Best Original Score. And what a great film also, but I don't need to tell you about that, do I? And, wow. So music by David Bryan and a couple other people, which I won't try to pronounce right now. But what a great film. Unbelievable kind of. Bryan released his sketchbook of tree drawings, more like diagrams, as he's also a visual artist and has been a speaker at the TED Talk conferences. I'll show you a couple other soundtracks he was a part of. I know we talked about this film before. I really like this film and the music that's on it, but it's Talking Heads is just one of the people on this film soundtrack, and unfortunately, we did lose, what's his name?
William Hurt.
William Hurt, not too long ago. Anyway, great film if you want to see it. You should want to see it. It's kind of long, but Wim Wenders is the director. Here's a Psycho Killer, Swamp, Talking Heads. Special limited edition, includes a 25-page booklet, which is right there, but I won't take it out right now because we're kind of running short of time again. And self-titled Talking Heads. I don't know what that sticker, but there it is. There is another Talking Heads. There's another good one. And, you know, do I have a bunch of Talking Heads? Yeah, I do. And here's another one. The Lady Don't Mind. Okay, nice artwork. I'm not sure who did it. Music by David Bryan. And, well, there's others on here too. Last one I'll show you, because it's supposed to be a radio show, not a TV. Talking Heads, Fear of Music. This is a good one. And straightforward kind of cover. On this day in history, all right, April 27th, we're going back and covering some of the things that we missed because we really think they're cool. We probably won't get through this group either, but so be it. We'll just put it on until next week. On April 27th, 1951, The Man from Planet X was released nationwide. The director was Edgar G. Ulmer, who also directed The Black Cat and Detour, and we've talked about him on the show, of course. And it starred Robert Clark, who we met at when they showed this movie at the Orpheum Theater downtown Los Angeles on a Halloween special. He was there. He's gone now, and by that time he was, of course, signing the books, which we have right here. And does we have his signature?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And at this time he was a mortgage broker, and very happy to have met him before he left us. Margaret Field was also in it, and that was Sally Field's mother, and William Schallert, who is, we've also talked about being in so many monster movies and horror films. Principal photography was done in 6 days at the Hal Roach Studios in Culver City, California. And in order to save money, the film was shot on sets for the 1948 Ingmar Bergman film, Joan of Arc. Artificial fog was used to change moods, plot locations, and to hide the lack of backdrops and staged landscapes for the outdoor scenes. But I do think that the fog really helped the film. It is reviewed as a creative, idealistic science fiction film. These are quotes. A capable B horror of the sort that invites nostalgia even in those of us who weren't there. And an eerie reminder that a decent script and an expert direction can overcome even the lowest budgets. We've got some other films that he did, same director, of course, is Detour. We just got that again on Criterion DVD, and of course haven't watched it yet, but I'll let you know how it is. Everything on Criterion is great. This film really has become a cult classic and a classic of the noir type of film, and definitely worth seeing. It's got an ending where crime doesn't pay, but I think that was added on at the very end, and probably not by this director. So be it. What else? What do we got here? Okay. Oh, I have some more Godzilla stuff, so we're going to be going pretty soon. So this got out of place, but let's show a few of these before we go on. And these are soundtracks to the different films. Some of them, look how neat that is. Look at it, he looks a little cross-eyed there, but he's got a train in his mouth. I hope it tastes good. Here's another original one. Whoa, what is this? This is a 2-record set. Okay. So it's got more yelling and screaming and that kind of thing on it. And of course the remake. This is one of the remakes of Godzilla. Special limited edition colored vinyl, green. Of course, I don't think there's time to show it to you, so I won't. Oh, maybe we will. Let's take a quick look here. Yep. There we go. That's the vinyl. So much of this is being done on colored vinyl these days. Used to be colored vinyl didn't sound so good, but this time around it seems to be. Here's another one. Can't tell you what it is because there is nothing. The only word I can see is chapter. The rest is in Japanese. And I think did we mention Raymond Burr is not in the original Godzilla? He was added later to make it more palatable, watchable for American audiences. And one more. Just because I love these pictures. Now this is awfully dark, so I don't know whether you can see it or not, but I won't spend too much time on that. But the back, yeah, you can sure see that all right. This is a laser disc, and again, it's the original Godzilla without Raymond Burr. So we've got some more things, like the crashing of the Hindenburg, etc., like that. But we only have a couple of minutes left, so I think NASA Nelly may be coming around for some. Have you heard any good jokes lately in outer space, NASA Nelly?
Yeah. What do you get if you cross a trout with an apartment?
Wow, what do you get if you cross a trout with an apartment?
A flatfish.
A what?
A flat fish.
Oh, a flat fish. Okay. I guess it's my age. Took me a little while to get that one. All right. You got another one or two?
Yeah. Let's see. What do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer?
What do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer?
A father-in-law.
A father-in-law. What do you call a priest that is what? What's the
What do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer?
What do you call a priest that becomes a lawyer?
A father in law.
One more, but I think that's all anybody can handle.
What do you call a rabbit with fleas?
What do you call a rabbit with fleas?
Bugs Bunny.
Bugs Bunny. All right, then you know what? That wasn't too bad, really. But we got to go, and we're going to miss you. I hope you miss us. And have yourself, everybody out there, a great week, a great weekend coming up, and keep yourself safe. Keep yourself productive and happy. And please join us next week when we're back here with the Educated Retirement. So thanks to Sean and everybody else at KMET, and of course, especially to all of those listening. Take care, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.